Have you ever felt like you're drifting through your own life? Not failing exactly, just floating. Doing enough to get by, but never enough to feel proud. You hit snooze. You scroll. You promise yourself you'll change tomorrow. But tomorrow keeps disappearing. And inside, a quiet voice whispers, you were meant for more than this. Not more money. Not more followers. More integrity. More alignment. More inner strength. More days you're actually proud of. But self-minus discipline feels far away, doesn't it? Maybe you've tried the motivational quotes, the cold showers, the habit trackers, and maybe they work for a while. But eventually, the old patterns return. Why? Because you were trying to build discipline on top of a shaky foundation. You were trying to add habits before you did the deeper work of rebuilding yourself. But the Stoics, they understood something most people never learn. Discipline isn't about what you do. It's about who you decide to become. And if you're ready for that kind of transformation, the kind that begins with an undribbles outward, then this series is for you. Over the next parts, we're going to walk through 10 Stoic principles that will rebuild your mind, your habits, and your self-minus respect from the ground up. Not quick fixes, not hacks, but deep rewiring, rooted in the timeless wisdom of Marcus Aurelius, Epictetus, and Seneca, and backed by what we know about behavior, psychology, and the human will. By the end of this series, you won't just understand self-minus discipline, you'll embody it, because you'll have built it from within. And once you do that, you'll never be the same. Let's begin. Principle 1. Control your inner citadel. The Stoics believed that your mind was a fortress, a private kingdom no one could enter without your permission. Epictetus said, no man is free who is not master of himself. And Marcus Aurelius called this the inner citadel, a mental stronghold untouched by fortune, insult, or chaos. But for most of us, that citadel has broken gates. A single text message can ruin your whole day. A single craving can derail your whole routine. A single distraction can pull you off course for hours. Because we haven't learned to guard our own minds. And without that, you can't build discipline. So here's where we start. You don't need to control the world. You just need to control the gates of your mind. And you do that through attention. Let me show you how. Imagine a watchman at the door of your mind. Every time a thought comes in, the watchman asks, is this helpful? Is this aligned? Does this serve the person I'm trying to become? If yes, let it in. If not, let it pass. That's self-minus discipline at the root. It's not just doing the right thing. It's protecting the soil that your habits grow from. Try this. Tomorrow morning, before your day begins, do nothing for the first 3 minutes. Sit, breathe, and ask, what kind of person do I want to be today? What thoughts, actions, or distractions threaten that? What is mine to control? Then write a single sentence. Today, I stand guard over my mind. That's how the rebuild begins. Not with hustle, with awareness, not with punishment, with power. Because once you regain control over your inner citadel, you stop being a slave to impulses, noise, and chaos. And that's what the Stoics knew. The first act of discipline is deciding what doesn't get access to your mind. In the next part, we'll unlock principle 2. The Stoic secret to doing the hard thing without needing motivation. Principle to act according to nature, not mood. Let's get brutally honest for a second. Most people live as prisoners of their emotions. If they feel like showing up, they do. If they don't, they make excuses. They call it self-minus care. They say, I'm just not feeling it today. And sure, rest has a place. But let's not confuse laziness with listening to your body. Because here's the uncomfortable truth. If you only act when you feel like it, you'll never become who you're capable of being. And the Stoics knew this. Marcus Aurelius, who ruled during war's plague and betrayal, wrote the following in Meditations. At dawn, when you have trouble getting out of bed, tell yourself, I am rising to do the work of a human being, not to chase dopamine, not to check notifications, but to become something worthy. This is Stoic principle 2. Act according to your nature, not your mood. So, what is your nature? It's not your cravings, not your anxiety, not your apathy. Your nature is reason, responsibility, resilience. It's that deeper self, the part of you that knows what's right, even when it's hard. And Marcus believed you could live by that part of you every single day, if you trained for it. Let me break it down. Your moods are weather. Your nature is climate. Your moods are temporary. They rise, fall, change with sleep, food, hormones. But your nature, your higher self, is always there, waiting to be chosen. And discipline is simply this: choosing nature over mood again and again. Let's make this real. You wake up. You're groggy. You think, I don't feel like journaling today. Mood is speaking. But then, another voice, your stoic self, says, that's irrelevant. I didn't wake up to obey my feelings. I woke up to act in accordance with the person I want to become. That's how you take back your life. And don't get me wrong, this doesn't mean suppress your emotions. It means don't worship them. Use them as signals, but don't let them steer the ship. Marcus wrote, you have power over your mind, not outside events. Realize this, and you will find strength. But it'll take it one step further. You don't even have power over every emotion, but you do have power over what you do next. So let's get practical. Here's how to train principle into your daily life. Step 1. Write your job description as a human being. This might sound strange, but it works. Ask, what does a disciplined person do daily? What does a strong mind look like in action? What kind of habits match my deepest values? Then answer. Write it out. Tape it to your wall. Now when mood says skip, you say that's not in my job description. Simple. Clear. No negotiation. Step to break the identity loop. Every time you act according to mood, you reinforce the identity of someone who needs to feel good to do good. But every time you act according to nature, you build the identity of someone solid. Someone who shows up regardless. Someone whose actions don't depend on inspiration. So, here's the challenge. Pick one daily task, and do it no matter how you feel. 5 minutes of journaling, 10 push-ups, 1 act of service, 1 intentional meal. Whatever it is, you do it because it's who you are, not because it feels good. And you say to yourself, this act builds who I am. This is me in alignment even if no one sees it. Step 3. Use your lows as leverage. There will be days you feel off. That's okay. The Stoics didn't aim to be perfect. They aimed to be aware. So when the low days hit, ask, what would Marcus do with this energy? What virtue can I train in this moment? Sad? Train compassion. Tired? Train presence. Irritated? Train patience. You're not ignoring your state. You're refining it. Because every mood is a fork in the road. React like everyone else or rise like the few. Let me tell you a story. There was a man named Callum, a single dad, working nights, exhausted. One day, his son asked, Dad, why do you still go running every morning even when you're so tired? He paused, then said, because I don't train my legs. I train my mind to show up for you, even when I don't feel like it. That's Stoic discipline. You don't push for ego. You push so you can serve better. That's why the Stoics were monks hiding from life. They were engaged. They ran empires, raised children, fought wars, and still trained their mind to obey reason, not impulse. So here's your sentence for today. My feelings are guests. My actions are sacred. You don't have to feel great. You don't have to feel ready. You just have to show up in alignment with your nature. Because every time you do that, You're not just being productive. You're even building yourself. In the next part, we'll dive into Principle 3. How to master temptation by changing your relationship with desire itself. Principle 3, master desire or be ruled by it. Let's talk about something raw. Something that drives more of your life than you might realize. Desire. Not just sexual. Not just material. Desire in all its forms. The craving for sugar. The itch to check your phone. The need to be seen, liked, respected, wanted. It's subtle, constant, manipulative. Desire says, just one more scroll. Just one more bite. Just one more hit of validation. And if you're not aware, you follow. And the more you follow, the weaker you become. Because here's the hard truth. The undisciplined life is a life driven by unchecked desire. But the Stoics saw through it. Epictetus said, freedom is the only worthy goal in life. Anything that enslaves you, anger, fear, lust, greed, must be rejected. That's Stoic Principle 3. Master desire or be ruled by it. Now, let's be clear. Desire itself isn't evil. It's a signal. The problem is when you let it drive. You're supposed to witness desire, not obey it. Marcus Aurelius trained himself this way. He wrote, ask yourself at every moment, is this necessary? He didn't trust every craving. He interrogated them. He studied their pull. He asked what part of me wants this, and what does it cost? And that's the question we need to ask too. Because every desire has a price. The moment of indulgence may be small, but the long minus turn tax on your clarity, energy, and self minus trust is massive. Let me show you how this works. You crave sugar. It's been a stressful day. You think I deserve this. So you cave. No big deal, right? But underneath that a quiet pattern is reinforced. I obey craving. I avoid resistance. Repeat it 100 times. You've hardwired a brain that collapses at the first sign of discomfort. But if you pause, if you sit with the craving, if you look at it and say, I see you, but I don't need you, then something changes. You don't just win a moment. You reclaim a piece of yourself. And over time, you become unshakable. Let's get tactical. Here's how the Stoics train themselves to master desire without suppressing it. Step 1, watch the rise. Desire starts as a whisper, a physical sensation, a thought, a mood. Before you obey it, name it. Oh, there's the urge to check my phone. There's the itch to order junk food. There's the fantasy about being praised. Label it. Because labeling creates distance. And distance creates choice. This is called cognitive diffusion in modern psychology. But the Stoics practiced it 2,000 years ago. They didn't become the desire. They observed it. Step 2, interrogate the story. Every desire tells you a story. This will feel amazing. You'll be happier after. This is harmless. Challenge it. Ask, will this strengthen the person I'm becoming? What is the true cost of this short minus term win? What emotion am I trying to avoid by reaching for this? Often, you'll find that what you think is hunger is actually boredom, or anxiety, or loneliness. And in that clarity, you realize you don't need to feed the craving. You need to face what's underneath it. Step 3, train in delay, not denial. Discipline doesn't mean never wanting. It means not needing now. Epictetus taught his students to delay gratification. He didn't say, never enjoy life. He said enjoy it with reason, not reflex. Try this. Next time you feel a strong urge, don't say no forever. Say yes in 15 minutes if I still want it. Then breathe. Walk. Right. Do something aligned. 9 times out of 10, the desire fades. You would turn to clarity. And you just built discipline without force. There is space. Let me tell you a story. A young woman I coached was addicted to social media. She said I pick up my phone every 4 minutes and I don't even know why. We didn't build a productivity schedule. We built awareness. She started noticing the moment of rage, then asking, what am I trying not to feel? Sometimes it was loneliness, sometimes envy, sometimes exhaustion. Then she'd sit with it. No judgment, no fix. And over time, the phone lost its grip because she stopped running from her feelings and started facing them. That's Stoic self-minus discipline. You don't resist desire like a battle. You outgrow it through wisdom. So here's your challenge. Today, notice one recurring desire that pulls you off track. Label it. Pause. Then write one sentence. I am not my cravings. I am the one who chooses what they serve. That shift? That's not willpower. That's ownership. And when you can look desire in the eye, smile and walk past it, you've taken your power back. In the next part, we'll move to Principle 4. How to turn pain into your greatest teacher without letting it define you. Principle 4 uses pain as a portal. Pain is part of life. But for many, it becomes more than a passing sensation. It becomes identity. I'm the one who got hurt. I'm the one who failed. I'm the one who's still healing. And while it's human to hurt, the Stoics believe that pain should be used, not worship. Seneca said, a gem cannot be polished without friction, nor a man perfected without trials. And Marcus Aurelius wrote, the impediment to action advances action. What stands in the way becomes the way. This is Stoic Principle 4. Use pain as a portal. Transform what hurts into what builds. Let's unpack that. There are two ways to experience pain. Path 1 is a victim. You believe it happened to you. You ask, why me? You replay the wound. You wait for someone or something to heal you. Path 2 is a student. You believe it happened for you. You ask, what now? You reflect on the lesson. You grow through it, even if it still hurts. And the choice between those two paths makes all the difference. Because pain is inevitable. But suffering is optional. It begins where resistance begins. You say, this shouldn't have happened. This ruined everything. This isn't fair. And maybe that's true. But the more you fight what is, the longer you stay stuck. Marcus didn't resist reality. He accepted it not passively, but powerfully. He said, if you are pained by any external thing, the pain is not due to the thing itself, but to your estimate of it, and this you have the power to revoke. Let that sink in. It's not the event, it's the meaning. And you always hold the pen. So here's the practice. Step 1, honor your pain, but don't build a home in it. The Stoics never said don't feel. They said don't get stuck. When something hurts, acknowledge it. I feel disappointment. I feel loss. I feel fear. Let it rise. Let it breathe. Let it pass. But then choose your next posture. Not from the wound, but from the lesson. Ask, what did this pain come to teach me? What part of me is being forged through this? How can this experience become fuel, not a cage? Step 2, rewrite the story. Most people live pain in loops. She left me. They rejected me. I failed. Again. But the Stoics rewrote the narrative, not as denial, but as discipline. Instead of, I failed. You're right. I learned. Instead of, I was betrayed. You're right. I saw clearly who was never mine to trust. Instead of, I lost everything. You're right. I was stripped down so I could rise whole. This isn't toxic positivity. It's mental sovereignty. You decide how your pain gets archived, as trauma or as training. Step 3, take action small, sacred, forward. Pain wants to paralyze you, but discipline begins the moment you move anyway. Not to escape the feeling, but to reclaim your rhythm. 1 journal entry, 1 deep breath, 1 workout, 1 act of service. And with each step, you whisper, This pain will not define me. It will refine me. Let me tell you a story. A man I knew lost his business, everything, during a market collapse. For months, he spiraled. Shame, rage, regret. Until one night, he found an old paperback of meditations. He read, "You could leave life right now. Let that determine what you do, say, and think." He sat in silence for 2 hours. Then, the next morning, he woke up early. Not to rebuild an empire, but to sweep his own kitchen floor with presence. He said, "For the first time in months, I did something with intention." It was the first brick of who he'd become next. That man now teaches others how to rebuild. Not from motivation, but from meaning. And it started with a choice. To use pain, not as a prison, but as a portal. So here's your challenge. Think of one painful memory that still stings. Write a new sentence for it. Not the old one. Not the victim script. The Stoic one. Something like, "That moment ended, but I didn't. I now carry this scar as proof that I heal. This chapter built the character I walk in today." And then, take a small action in honor of that new story. Write. Move. Call someone. Begin. Because you are not what hurt you. You are what you choose to do next. In the next part, we'll unlock Principle 5. The Stoic approach to distraction, digital noise, and reclaiming deep focus. Principle 5: attention is your greatest discipline. Let me ask you something. When was the last time you went a full hour? Just 1 hour without checking the screen. No scrolling. No background noise. No digital distraction. Just presence. Just focus. Just you. If that feels impossible, you're not alone. Because in today's world, attention isn't just scattered. It's under siege. And the consequences? They're invisible until they're not. You'll lose the ability to read deeply, to finish what you start, to be still, to think, to choose your next move. But the Stoics warned us centuries ago. Before smartphones, notifications were endless feeds. Marcus Aurelius wrote, "Nowhere can man find a quieter or more untroubled retreat than in his own soul." Yet we rarely visit it. Why? Because the modern world rewards reactivity, not reflection. And this is where Stoic Principle 5 comes in. Attention is your greatest discipline. Guard it like a sacred flame. Let's make this real. Every time you get distracted, you don't just lose time. You lose your place in life. Your priorities blur. Your energy leaks. Your identity becomes scattered. Because attention isn't passive. It's a muscle. And if you don't train it, the world will train it for you. Here's what the Stoics knew. You don't need to control everything. You just need to control what you give your attention to. That's where your real power lives. Let's get practical. Step 1, choose your input like you choose your food. You wouldn't eat a moldy sandwich. So, why consume hours of junk information? Every post you scroll, every headline you click, every argument you observe, it enters your mind. It colors your thoughts. It alters your nervous system. Marcus said, "The soul becomes dyed with the color of its thoughts." So choose carefully. Audit your digital diet. Unfollow noise. Delete apps you check but don't need. Reclaim the gate. Step to start your day before the world does. This is sacred. The Stoics began each day in reflection, not reaction. Marcus would journal on mortality, purpose, and virtue. Before Rome could demand anything of him, you must do the same. Don't wake up and check in with the world. Wake up and check in with yourself. Even 10 minutes. Breathe. Right. Ask, what do I want to give my energy to today? What distractions will try to steal it? What is mine to do? That clarity? It shifts everything. Step 3, create 1 hour of deep, undivided focus daily. 1 hour. No pings. No tabs. No passive consumption. You choose one task, one focus, one aligned action, and you train your mind to stay. It won't be easy at first. You'll itch to check. You'll reach for something. You'll feel discomfort. That's okay, because that discomfort, it's your attention trying to rebuild itself. It's the same as strengthening a muscle that's been neglected. You don't panic. You practice. Let me share a story. There was a woman building her first business. She kept telling herself, I just can't focus. She blamed ADHD, stress, burnout. Until one day, she asked, what if I just never trained my mind to be still? That shift changed her life. She started with 20 minutes of deep work, no phone nearby. The first week was chaos, but she stuck with it. By month 2, she could focus for 90 minutes straight, with clarity, flow, purpose. Now, she calls it her daily tempo, because it's the one no one can take from her, and it's where she builds her future. That's what focus is. It's not just productivity. It's presence with a purpose. So, here's your challenge. Today, pick one task that matters. Then, set a timer for 30 minutes. Turn off all notifications. Put your phone in another room. Work without breaking. You'll feel the tug, the mental noise, the discomfort of being with just one thing. Good. Because that's the fire where discipline is forged. And over time, that fire becomes your sanctuary. Marcus said, you have power over your mind, not outside events. Realize this and you will find strength. Attention is the gate. And every time you got it, you protect your peace, your priorities, your power. In the next part, we'll explore Principle 6, how to build consistency like a Stoic, even when your emotions say quit. Principle 6, consistency is greater than intensity. Let's be honest. How many times have you promised yourself, this time I'm really going to change? This week I'm waking up at 5 a.m. every day. No more sugar starting now. Cold turkey. I'm going to write every single day, no matter what. And then what happens? You go hard for 2 days, maybe even a week. But then life shows up. Stress, fatigue, disappointment, distraction, and the intensity fades. So the routine breaks, and the cycle repeats. But here's what the Stoics understood. Long before habit trackers or self-minus help seminars, intensity fades, consistency builds. This is Stoic Principle 6. Consistency is greater than intensity. Show up small but daily, because anyone can show up once when they're fired up. But the Stoic shows up even when the flame is low, especially then. Let's start with Marcus. He wasn't always motivated. He wasn't always strong. In fact, most of Meditations reads like a man, reminding himself to return again and again. He wrote, you must build your life action by action, and be content if each one achieves its goal as far as possible. That's it. Not all Midas or Midas nothing. Not overnight mastery. Just one action. Done with care. Repeated with discipline. Over time with grace. Think about this. You don't become disciplined from a single breakthrough. You become disciplined through unremarkable days. Days where you didn't feel like doing it, but you did it anyway. Quietly. Without applause. Without hype. That's the part most people miss. They chase a feeling. The zone. The flow. The momentum. But the Stoic doesn't wait to feel ready. He acts on principle. Let me show you how. Step 1, lower the threshold, raise the frequency. You don't need to meditate for an hour. Start with 2 minutes. You don't need to write 1,000 words. Write 50. You don't need to fast for 20 hours. Skip one snack. Because the brain doesn't care how big the action is. It cares whether or not you kept the promise. That's what rewires identity. You don't build confidence by crushing it once. You build it by showing up again tomorrow. Step to focus on no 0 days. This is one of the simplest, most powerful disciplines you can adopt. No 0 days means do something for the goal every single day, even if it's tiny, even if it's sloppy, even if it's only symbolic. Because even a 5-minute action says something radical to your subconscious. I don't break my word. I am this person no matter what. This creates internal momentum, the kind that builds quietly beneath the surface. And one day, it erupts into visible transformation, but only if you stay with it. Step 3, measure streaks, not sprints. The Stoics didn't believe in crash reform. They believed in training the soul patiently. Epictetus said, "First say to yourself what you would be, then do what you have to do." He didn't say be it instantly. He said train toward it. Build a streak. So ask yourself, what daily behavior, if done for 30 days straight, would change my life? What's one action that feels small but proves I'm serious? What would it look like to string together 100 reps of alignment? That's the game. It's not about how big you go. It's about how long you keep going. Now let me tell you a story. Him and I once wanted to get back in shape. He hadn't worked out in years. So on day 1 he tried to run 3 miles. Pushed too hard. Pulled a muscle. Quit for 2 weeks. Then he tried again. But this time, like a Stoic, he walked 10 minutes. Every day. Rain or shine. No excuses. By week 3, he added push-ups. By week 5, short jogs. By week 10, he was just fitter. He was disciplined because he finally understood. The goal isn't to burn out. It's to become someone who never stops moving forward. And here's the secret. Discipline is what shows up after motivation leaves the room. So if you've been inconsistent, it's not because you're broken. It's because you've been addicted to intensity. Let that go. Choose consistency. Because consistency is compassion in motion. It says, I will take care of myself. Not just when I feel like it, but because I respect the person in becoming. So here's your challenge. Choose one discipline. Make the threshold small. Ridiculously small. Then track your streak. 1 push-up. 1 sentence. 1 breath. 1 journal line. Do it for 30 days. And when you want to quit, say, this may be a small action, but it's a massive declaration of who I am. That's the Stoic path. No drama. Just daily return. Marcus said, just that you do the right thing. The rest doesn't matter. So do the next right thing. Do it again tomorrow. And again the day after. You'll be shocked how far simple consistency can take you. In the next part, we'll explore Principle 7. How Stoics mastered temptation, indulgence, and restraint without shame or suppression. Principle 7, restraint, is the root of power. Let's talk about a word the modern world avoids. Restraint. We live in a culture that says, have it now. You deserve it. Don't deny yourself. Treat yourself. The message? If you want it, you should have it. And if you don't, you're being unfair to yourself. But here's the truth the Stoics knew. Every time you obey a fleeting desire, you trade long minus term strength for short minus term sensation. And over time, that trade becomes your identity. You stop being the driver of your life. You become the passenger of your impulses. But Marcus Aurelius had another vision. He wrote, ask yourself, is this essential? Strip away what's unnecessary. Because the Stoics understood, freedom isn't found in doing whatever you want. Freedom is found in not needing to. That's Stoic Principle 7. Restraint is the root of power. Say no not because you're weak, but because you're strong enough to walk away. Let's go deeper. When you can resist something that's pleasurable but unnecessary, you prove to yourself, I am not a slave to pleasure. You become calm in the face of sugar, still in the face of noise, clear in the face of chaos. Because you're no longer ruled by your cravings. You rule yourself. And this doesn't mean living like a monk. It doesn't mean denying all joy. It means choosing what joy is worth your soul. It means keeping your nervous system clean, your habits aligned, your integrity intact. Let's get practical. Here's how Stoics train their restraint without guilt, without drama, without ego. Step 1. Practice voluntary deprivation. Seneca, one of the richest men in Rome, would intentionally sleep on the floor, eat plain food, wear rough clothes. Why? To prove to himself, I can go without. And if I lose it all tomorrow, I will still be me. Try this. Skip a meal once a week. Use your phone only in specific hours. Walk when you could drive. Delay gratification on purpose. Not to punish yourself. To prove to yourself that you're enough without the extra. Because that's what builds inner fire. You stop fearing loss. You start trusting your ability to thrive without. Step 2. Create bright lines. Most people fall into indulgence through negotiation. You'll just have a bite. Just one more episode. You'll start tomorrow. That's a slippery slope. The Stoic solution? Bright lines. These are clear, unbreakable rules you create. Not out of rigidity, but self-minus respect. For example, no phone during meals. No sugar before sunset. No social media after 8 p.m. Always stretch before sleep. These are restrictions. They're guardrails for the life you're rebuilding. Because every no to temptation is a yes to sovereignty. Step 3. Remember what you're really hungry for. Behind every craving is a deeper need. The cookie? Comfort. The scroll? Escape. The binge? Numbing. The Stoics never shamed those desires. They decoded them. They asked, what am I actually seeking in this moment? Then they gave it to themselves through virtue, not vice. Lonely? Call someone. Tired? Rest, not numb. Stressed? Breathe. Work. Reflect. This is how you rewire your relationship to pleasure. You stop feeding the false fire. And you return to what actually soothes you: integrity, intention, depth. Let me tell you a story. There was a man who struggled with binge eating for years. Every time stress hit, he'd raid the fridge. He hated himself for it. Until one day, he found Stoic writing. You read this. It is not the thing itself that disturbs you, but your opinion about it. And something clicked. He started journaling every time the urge came. Not eating, just observing. What am I avoiding? What am I trying to feel? Slowly the fog cleared. He wasn't weak. He was just unrestrained. And now, he eats with intention. He feels with courage. He lives with lightness. Because restraint became his path to self-minus respect. And that's what this is all about. Not self-minus denial. Not purity. Not perfection. But the quiet, sacred strength of someone who could indulge, but chooses not to. So here's your challenge. Pick one area of excess in your life. Something small, but constant. Then, define a clear boundary. Commit to it for 7 days. Track your urges and do what's behind them. And when the temptation rises, say, I'm not denying myself. I'm reminding myself who's in charge. Because each act of restraint is a brick in your fortress. And one day that fortress becomes unshakable. Marcus said, if it is not right, do not do it. If it is not true, do not say it. Let your impulse be ruled by reason. Let that be your mantra. Because when reason leads, you lead your life. In the next part, we'll dive into Principle 8. The Stoic path to self-minus respect through honest action, not self-minus image. Principle 8, let your life be the proof. Let me ask you something vulnerable. How much of what you do each day is about being seen doing it? You post your progress. You count the likes. You adjust your words so they land well. You train and wonder if it's impressive enough. You work and secretly hope someone notices. And maybe, without realizing it, you've built your life as a performance. But Marcus Aurelius gives us a different standard. Don't waste time thinking about what a good man should be. Just be one. This is Stoic Principle 8. Let your life be the proof, not your image. Because in a world obsessed with optics, the Stoic seeks honesty, not image management, not strategic branding, but quiet, invisible alignment. You don't need to tell the world who you are. You need to live it so clearly it becomes undeniable. Let's go deeper. The modern ego is subtle. It hides behind productivity, behind the desire to help, even behind the desire to be humble. But the Stoics didn't care about appearance. They cared about action. Marcus didn't write meditations for public glory. He wrote it to check himself, to scrub his soul clean before he ruled others. He reminded himself, don't perform, do the work. Don't pretend, practice virtue. Don't signal, live. That's the shift. From self-minus promotion to self-minus possession. Because when you're truly aligned, you no longer need approval. You become your own proof. Let's make it real. Step 1, define what integrity means for you. Not what looks good, not what sounds good, but what feels clean, real, unshakable. Ask, what does it mean to act in alignment today? What would I do if no one ever found out? What values matter to me more than validation? Write your answers. Take them to your mirror. Let them guide your day. Because clarity of values is the compass that keeps you centered when the world pulls you sideways. Step to do one invisible act of excellence daily. The Stoics trained in private virtue. They knew that if your discipline disappears when the audience is gone, it was never discipline. It was performance. So challenge yourself. Write a full journal entry that no one will read. Complete a workout without posting it. Help someone without telling anyone. Keep a promise silently. These acts, they carve your soul into something solid. Because real strength grows in the shadows, not in applause. Step 3, practice detaching from your reputation. This is hard but liberating. Most of our anxiety isn't about who we are. It's about what people might think we are. Marcus wrote, the opinion of 10,000 men is of no value if none of them know who you are. Translation? You can be misunderstood and still be right. You can be unseen and still be aligned. So stop chasing clarity in the eyes of others. Seek it in the mirror. You'll sleep better. Let me tell you a story. There was a young entrepreneur. Smart, disciplined, charismatic. But every week, she burned out trying to look like a leader. She curated every post, scripted every conversation, filtered every flaw. Until one day, her mentor said, you don't need to impress people. You need to become someone you'd admire if no one ever noticed. That line shattered her. She started working in silence. She stopped explaining everything. She gave up image and found impact. No, she mentors others to build from the inside out. Not because of brand, but because of truth. That's Stoic self-minus discipline. You do what's right, not what's visible. You do what matters, not what flatters. You do what lasts. So here's your challenge. Today, do one good thing and tell no one. No documentation. No proof. Just action. Let it be a private win. A personal ritual. A secret proof of who you're becoming. Because the moment you stop proving, you start being. And when you do, you build a kind of self-minus respect that no amount of praise can compete with. Marcus said, the soul becomes dyed with the color of its thoughts. So soak it in clarity, in courage, in truth. You don't need to show the world. Just become so solid that the world feels it even in silence. In the next part, we'll dive into Principle 9. How to train yourself to act without hesitation and escape the trap of overthinking. Principle 9 did not delay what your soul already knows. Let me paint a picture. You have an idea, a flash of clarity, a whisper from somewhere deep inside. Send the message. Start the chapter. Go to the gym. Say the truth. And for a moment, just the moment you're ready. But then the voice comes. The calculating one. The doubting one. The one that says, what if I'm not ready? What if I mess this up? What if people judge me? And before you know it, you've gone from clarity to hesitation to paralysis. That's the trap. Not of failure, but of overthinking. Marcus Aurelius knew this too well. He wrote, "You must build your life action by action, and be content if each one achieves its goal." And again, don't delay. You have been born to act. This is Stoic Principle 9. Do not delay what your soul already knows. Overcome hesitation with aligned action. Let's go deeper. Most people don't fail from lack of talent. They fail from hesitation. They wait for perfect clarity, perfect timing, perfect certainty. But here's the truth. The longer you wait, the heavier the action becomes. What could have taken 5 minutes now takes 5 hours of thinking. What could have been a simple yes or no now becomes an inner war. And that war, it drains your energy, erodes your self-minus trust, teaches your nervous system that clarity danger. But the Stoic doesn't wait. The Stoic acts with courage, not certainty, not recklessly, but decisively. Let me show you how. Step 1. Identify the hesitation loop. The moment you feel yourself stall, pause. Notice the thoughts. I'm not ready. I need to research more. You'll start once I feel more confident. Label them. Call it what it is, resistance. And remind yourself, this hesitation is not a signal to stop. It's a signpost to step forward. Because 90% of the time, you don't need more information. You need activation. Step to shift from outcome to integrity. One reason we hesitate. We're obsessed with results. Will it go well? Will they like it? Will I win? The Stoic doesn't care. Marcus didn't ask, will this impress people? He asked, is this right? That's the pivot. Don't act to succeed. Act to be aligned. Let your compass be integrity, not impact. Because when your action is rooted in virtue, the outcome doesn't define you. Step 3. Take one immediate, physical action. Action kills overthinking. Not thoughts about action. Not planning. Not preparation. Physical movement. Send a text. Write the first sentence. Stand up. Breathe. Walk out the door. Do something that creates motion. Because once you move, your identity shifts. You're no longer thinking about it. You're someone who does it. Let me tell you a story. There was a writer who sat on his book idea for years. He overanalyzed everything. What if it's not unique? What if the structure is wrong? What if I can't finish it? One day, he read Marcus. If it is enterable, then endure it. If it is not, stop complaining. Your choices are clear. He closed the book, opened a doc, wrote 100 words. The next day, 150. A month later, chapter 1. 2 years later, the book was done. Not because he waited for readiness, because he acted before he was ready. That's Stoic discipline. You don't need perfect conditions. You need movement. Because action reveals what thought alone cannot. So here's your challenge. Pick one thing you've been sitting on. One decision. One idea. One next step. Then before the sun sets today, take a physical action toward it. Doesn't matter how small. The moment your brain says wait, you say, this is the moment I reclaim my momentum. Because momentum is more important than mastery. And hesitation? It's just rust on your gears. Shake it off with motion. Marcus said, the impediment to action becomes the action. What stands in the way becomes the way. Hesitation is not your enemy. It's your invitation. to return, to align, to move. In the next part, we'll explore Principle 10, the final and most enduring Stoic foundation of all, building your identity from the inside out. Principle 10, live from the inside out. Let's end with the deepest cut, the root behind all Stoic self-minus discipline. The idea that, if you absorb it truly, everything else becomes natural. Not forced, not performed, but lived. That idea? You don't get your identity from the outside in. You build it from the inside out. This is Stoic Principle 10. Be who you would respect, even if no one else is watching. Most people construct identity like a mirror. They look to others to see who they are. Do they approve of me? Do they admire me? Do they think I'm good, successful, disciplined? And based on the answers, they adjust. They conform. They shrink. Or they exaggerate. But the Stoic doesn't do this. The Stoic isn't the mirror. The Stoic is a compass. Their direction doesn't change based on who's watching. Their values don't wobble when the room shifts, because they've defined themselves internally. Marcus wrote, "It doesn't matter what other people think of you. What matters is what you think of yourself when you're alone." Let that sink in. Not what you think about your image, what you think about your character. Because image fades, but character follows you to the grave. And self-minus discipline, it isn't built by impressing others. It's built by impressing your future self. Let's go deeper. Step 1, write your own internal scorecard. Everyone is playing by a scorecard. Most just never choose theirs intentionally. So the world chooses for them. Money, fame, likes, status, applause. And guess what? Even when they win, they lose. Because the scoreboard was never theirs. But the Stoics built their own metrics. They measured. Did I act with courage? Did I speak with honesty? Did I follow through on what I said I would? Did I stay calm in the storm? That's the real game. And it's one you can play every day without needing external results. Try this. Tonight, before you sleep, score your day. 1 to 10. Not on how much you got done, but how aligned you were. Did you act with intention? Did you catch yourself when drifting? Did you honor the version of you you're rebuilding? Do that for 30 days. Watch your identity evolve. Step to choose integrity over impression. You'll be tested. There will be moments where doing the right thing means losing approval. Saying no when it's easier to say yes. Speaking truth when silence would protect your image. Walking alone when the crowd heads in a different direction. The weak phone. The Stoic smiles. Why? Because every time you choose integrity, you reinforce your internal identity. You become someone you respect, even if no one else understands. Marcus said, "Don't waste time looking for short-minus lived applause. Keep your soul alive to its own approval." That's real confidence. Not swagger, but stillness. The kind that can't be shaken. Step 3, make decisions from the future you, not the current mood. Imagine your strongest self. 5 years from now. Disciplined, calm, focused, clear. That version of you. They're shaped by your actions today. So ask, what would the future version of me do in this moment? Skip or show up? Scroll or write? React or reflect? Let that future you become your North Star. Because self-minus discipline isn't about pressure. It's about alignment with your highest identity. And when you act from that place, you stop needing discipline to feel like effort. It becomes expression. Let me tell you a story. A man in his 40s had hit rock bottom. Addiction, debt, divorce. He tried every self-minus help method he could find. Nothing stuck. Until one day, a mentor gave him a simple assignment. Write a letter from the version of you who's already healed. He did. 3 pages. He cried while writing. In that letter, his future self said, "You chose me daily. even when it was hard, especially then. And now I walk free because you finally stopped asking the world who you were, and you decided for yourself. That letter became his compass. And 5 years later, he's that man, because he finally stopped outsourcing identity and started building it brick by brick from the inside out. So here's your challenge. Today, write one sentence that describes the version of you would respect deeply. Then act in accordance with that sentence, even in the small things, especially in the small things, because that's where identity lives, not in outcomes, in ordinary moments of integrity. Marcus Aurelius said, "Look within. Within is the fountain of good, and it will bubble up if you dig. Keep digging, because under all the noise, all the fear, all the distraction, there's something ancient, real, and powerful in you, waiting to be remembered. And once you live from that place, you'll never need anyone's permission again." In the next part, we'll bring it all together. Let me ask you a quiet question. Have you ever wondered why you keep starting over? Not just tasks, but entire seasons of your life. 1 week, you're on fire. Up early, eating clean, focused, inspired. And then, one late night, one disruption, one setback, and the whole thing crumbles. Not because you're lazy, but because your discipline was built on fireworks, not a flame. This brings us to Stoic Principle 11. Protect the flame, not the fireworks. Discipline is not found in bursts, but in stewardship. Let's unpack that. Fireworks are spectacular. They light up the sky. They get everyone's attention. But they last seconds, and they vanish. Flames? Flames are small, almost unimpressive, but tended daily, patiently. They'll burn through anything. Most people build their self-minus discipline like fireworks. Huge goals, loud announcements, intense short minus term effort, public declarations, and then, just as quickly, silence. But the Stoic doesn't chase energy. They cultivate it. They don't build motivation. They build momentum. Marcus Aurelius wrote, "Like a rock tossed in a street, let nothing outside shake your clarity. Flow around it, and return." Let's go deeper. Step 1, ditch the need for inspiration. If you're waiting for a good day to show up, you've already lost. Because good days aren't given. They're built. The Stoics didn't rely on moods. They trained in ritual. Marcus didn't write in meditations only when inspired. He wrote to become inspired. So stop asking, "Do I feel like it?" Start asking, "What would it look like to honor my process even at 40%? Because discipline isn't a feeling. It's a structure that carries you when feeling fades. Step to build unbreakable morning and evening rituals. 2 things will protect your flame more than anything else. How you start the day, how you end the day. The Stoics guarded these moments like sacred ground. Morning direction, evening reflection, even 5 minutes. A. 1 sentence of intention, 1 breath of stillness, 1 question: what virtue will I carry today? PM. 1 reflection, 1 self-minus check, 1 reset. You don't need 2 hours. You need anchoring. Because without it, the world chooses your energy for you. Step 3, anticipate the dip and have a plan. Momentum isn't lost when things go wrong. It's lost when we didn't expect things to go wrong. The Stoics practiced prem at 80-mile run, the mental rehearsal of obstacles. Not to become pessimistic, but to become prepared. They asked, what will likely go wrong and how will I stay aligned when it does? Try this. Before a new goal journal. When I'm tired, I will. When I feel discouraged, I'll. When I slip, I will remind myself. Have your recovery plan ready. Because that's what keeps the flame alive. Not perfection, but preparation. Let me tell you a story. A woman I coached ran a design business. She was brilliant, but burned out every 3 months. Why? Because she only had two modes, all in or shut down. Until one day she read this Marcus quote: "No fire can burn constantly at full blaze, but it can be tended quietly so it never goes out." That line changed everything. She downsized her morning routine. She stopped chasing viral moments. She focused on simple, repeatable actions every day. 3 years later, same business, more income, less drama, because she finally understood longevity isn't sexy, but it's sovereign. It's yours. So here's your challenge. Today, pick one habit you've been doing in bursts. Then simplify it down to the smallest version you could sustain for 100 days. One line, one rep, one paragraph, one breath. Then commit. Not for fire, for flame. And when the spark fades, smile. Because the Stoic doesn't fear low days. They're trained for it. Marcus said, "If you are distressed by anything external, the pain is not due to the thing itself, but to your estimate of it. And this you have the power to revoke. Revoke it. Return. Reignite with gentleness, not judgment." Here's the truth no one wants to say out loud. You will slip. You will scroll when you swore you wouldn't. You will skip a workout. You will raise your voice. You will fall back into comfort. You will break the promise you made to yourself. It happens. The difference isn't between those who fail and those who don't. It's between those who stay down and those who begin again. This is Stoic Principle 12, the final one. Begin again. Every single day. With quiet resolve, not guilt. Because guilt, that's the emotion the undisciplined live in. They spiral. I messed up again. It'll never change. What's the point? And in that spiral, they miss the moment in front of them. The chance to return. But the Stoic sees it differently. Marcus Aurelius, a man leading armies, governing an empire, still wrote this to himself: "Today I failed to live up to my standard, but I will begin again." Because to abandon the path entirely would be the true failure. Let that sink in. Failure isn't the fall. It's the refusal to get up cleanly. Most people either beat themselves up or pretend it didn't happen. The Stoic does neither. They own the lapse, forgive themselves, reset, realign, return. Let's go deeper. Step 1. Build a recovery ritual, not a punishment plan. After a slip, most people punish. They over-minus correct. They restart with shame. They set even bigger goals to make up for the miss. That doesn't work. It just trains your nervous system to associate self-minus discipline with suffering. What works? A gentle, repeatable return. Here's what it can look like. Acknowledge the drift: I lost track. Forgive the self-I'm human. Act small, ill, take one aligned step right now. Close the day: I showed up again. That matters more than the perfect streak. This rewires your identity. You become someone who doesn't just act when things go well, but relents when things fall apart. That's power. Step to create your ground zero plan. Discipline shouldn't depend on your best day. It should have a baseline version you can do even on your worst. Write it out. When I feel unmotivated, I will at least do. When I miss a day, I return with. When I feel off course, I ask myself. This is what the Stoics meant by I meditatio, planning for the fall before it happens. Because resilience doesn't begin after the fall. It begins in how you train yourself to return. Step 3. See each morning as rebirth. This isn't metaphor. This is how the Stoics lived. Each day, a clean slate, a new test, a chance to prove not to others, but to themselves, that they were still becoming who they said they'd become. Marcus wrote, when you arise in the morning, think of what a precious privilege it is to be alive, to breathe, to think, to enjoy, to love, not to perform, to live intentionally. And when you live like this, You stop being chained to yesterday. You stop dragging old guilt into new hours. You move forward with the grace of someone who knows they're building something timeless. Let me share a final story. A former Navy officer once told me this. When I was active, we were not. Every mission that failed was debriefed, not denied. We learned. We fixed one small thing, and the next morning we launched again. He paused. Civilians don't understand that. They think a setback means it's over. But we knew you always return to the mission. You never leave it in the dark. And that's the Stoic life. You don't live for perfection. You live for return. Again and again. Quietly. Consistently. Gracefully. Powerfully. So here's how to wrap this journey. Today, say this out loud. I begin again. Not because I failed, but because I'm still becoming. And tomorrow, say it again. And the next day, say it until this becomes who you are. Not someone chasing motivation. Not someone afraid of mistakes. Not someone building in streaks. But someone who wakes up every single day with the courage to rebuild. Because you are the architect now. And no matter how messy the past was, no matter how inconsistent the past you has been, the present you gets to lay a new brick. Right now. And that's the whole point. Marcus Aurelius said, you could leave life right now. Let that determine what you do, say, and think. You don't need another chance. You have one this moment. Use it. Begin again. Then begin again tomorrow. And the next day. And the next. That's Stoic self minus discipline. That's the path. And once you walk it long enough, you'll never need to start over again. Because you've become someone who never really stops. And that, friend, is a life worth respecting. If this series helped you remember who you are, share it with someone who's ready to rebuild too. You never know whose fire it might trade light. Subscribe for more wisdom, less noise, and truths that last longer than motivation. See you in the next reflection. We are currently giving away a free ebook, 12 Stoic lessons that will change your life. To receive your gift, simply follow the channel and leave a comment that says, I have followed, or I would like to receive the gift. We will reply with the download link directly below your comment.